Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on the 5571 podcast. My name is Danny, and for those that don't know, this is a podcast all about what's new, what's happening at the Disneyland Resort. And just like I had mentioned, this week we are joined by a special guest, a longtime listener, and I've also joined him on a lot of their podcasts. I have Shawn Williams joining us from the Walt Apartment production team.
How you doing, Danny? So
Good.
excited to be here. So happy. So,
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, they have a bunch of podcasts. I've joined a few.
yep.
There's Walt's Apartment Podcast. Imagine that. They've got live streams. They've got. I think I've even done Extra Magic
Extra
Hour on
Magic
there.
Hour. We have a
So
Marvel show. We have Marvel. We have Star Wars. We have the Mad Tea Party, which is where we just argue with each other all the time. It's fun. We have 8 different shows, but yeah.
yeah, it's
Thank
like a
you so
whole
much for
network
letting
of.
me be on here, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, happy to have you.
Of course.
So we've got a lot to talk about today. We've got a pretty big news segment, and then we're gonna end our show with our Main Street topic, talking a little bit about Avengers Campus in the future there. But I wanted to jump right in because we got some pretty big news yesterday from Disney. They had teased, which we talked about in my recent vlog, if you guys had watched that on the channel here, where Disneyland or Disney Parks more specifically shared with us that they were going to be doing a meet and greet with Luke Skywalker potentially. It was like a little bit of a teaser. We didn't
Hmm.
know. They said they'd be sharing more information with us on the 10th, which was yesterday, as the day of recording this podcast. So we got a Disney Parks blog post. And this post essentially talked about a bunch of things that are happening for Star Wars Season of the Force, with the headline item not even being the meet and greet with Luke
Right.
Skywalker, but more importantly, a projection show coming to the spires of Batuu around the Millennium Falcon called Shadows of a Memory, a Skywalker Saga. And this is going to debut on opening day of Star Wars Season of the Force, which is March 28th. So a lot of 28ths for
Yeah.
opening days. We talked about Food and Wine Festival starting February 28th, which is just a few weeks from now. And then we have Star Wars Season of the Force starting March 28th. So what was your first impression, Shawn, on this when you saw the projection show on Galaxy's Edge? Were you just like, man, I can't wait to see this? Or, man,
I
how
think
are
it's
we going to all
cool.
fit to watch that?
I think it's a cool idea. I've never been. I don't live down in Southern California anymore, so I've never been to an after dark event, and I want to go to so many of them. I love Star Wars. Star Wars is great. I remember seeing. I saw you and Mondo did a video when you guys were watching fireworks in Galaxy's Edge. I'm like, damn,
Mhm.
that's really cool how they can mirror it with the other fireworks and play completely different music. I'm excited for it, and I think that the article said it's John Williams music as well, right? So it's
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I think it's gonna be cool. I can't wait to see what everyone posts about it because that's how I get all my information is by what everyone else shows. But
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really exciting, and more importantly, I think it's good to distinct. For those that are listening and trying to plan a trip for this, or just trying to plan it in part of your upcoming visits. This experience, the Shadows of a Memory, a Skywalker Saga, this is a separate experience from Fire of the Rising Moons, the fireworks show. Now we don't
okay,
know because the projections are going to be there, like they're there and like installed and obviously going to be tested on these spaces. We don't know if they're going to somehow incorporate projection like little moments in the fireworks show, but this specific Shadows of a Memory, a Skywalker Saga, will be separate from that, and they indicated that on the blog. And I thought that was an important call out because I kind of didn't really know that right away until I had seen um, Scott Gustin post about it on Twitter as like
hmm
a call out saying that it's going to continue on select nights and it's separate from the projection show, meaning the
okay,
fireworks show.
it looks
So yeah,
cool. I
because
mean, it's a great idea.
yeah, exactly. There's in addition to that, of course, they did confirm with us that Luke Skywalker would be appearing, in Galaxy's Edge as a
Is
meet and
that our
greet. Or
first
they
time?
said it is. Yeah, he's certainly been a meet and greet at Star Wars Nights, but never
Right,
inside Galaxy's
right.
Edge. And it looks like this Luke Skywalker is kind of the version that we saw, like in the Disney movies and like shows. So,
Hmm.
a black hooded Luke Skywalker, a more powerful, older Luke Skywalker. At least that's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, the
I
picture
can't really
shows him
tell.
like just with his hand on R2, right? And that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's like Return of the Jedi ish right there when he walked into the in Tatooine. I'm like, okay, okay, and that's when he was a BA then. You know, that guy Luke's the man. So that's
Yeah.
exciting.
It is. It is. The only thing that I don't know, it's kind of unclear. Um, so more recently, kind of Disney took away the paid food experience, or you can't book it.
Hmm.
For the Star Wars Galaxy's Edge fireworks show, it was very short lived. I don't know if it just wasn't popular, but I can imagine like when something like this happens, maybe it would be more popular. So
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if we
Yeah.
see it make a return, but as of right now, I can't find it anywhere on the website. I talked to Peter from Ordinary Adventures, and he said he thought it had went away. So
Hmm.
maybe we see it return, but it's not outlined as such in the article. But yeah, I'm excited. Like you mentioned, John Williams music for both Star Wars Galaxy's Edge's fireworks show and this projection show. It's going to be awesome. They gave a little bit more information in the article about stuff happening in Star Wars Season of the Force. We're going to get Hyperspace Mountain returning to
Hmm.
Disneyland as well. And then in addition to that, they showed a bunch of new merchandise coming. And if you guys are fans of that new Create a Headband situation that's going on, that's been very viral, came from
Been very
Hong
popular for
Kong, I
sure.
think. They're going to have Star Wars versions. So they show in the photo, a Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, Ewok, R2D2, and Yoda. And they had a bunch
Very
of other
cute.
new
They're
merchandise
very cute.
too. Yeah. So it's going to be cool to see all this stuff. Other call outs too, specifically just for Disneyland. The Droid Depot is moving away from its reservation based system, and it's just going to be accepting walk ins. So you're during this time period, you're going to be able to just kind of walk up to Droid Depot and kind of do that experience. You don't have to plan it in advance. Savi's workshop will still, operate in that way, and they'll
Hmm.
obviously accept walk-ins on a first come first served basis. But the article also called out something for Savi's workshop, which for those that don't know, that's the kind of location or experience inside Galaxy's Edge where you build your own lightsaber. And they're going to debut a brand new storyline called Reclaimed and Reforged. And basically, it's for limited time starting May 4th, so May the 4th.
Oh, there you go.
Guests will be able to build their own lightsabers from scraps that have been scavenged by different pirates
Huh.
throughout the galaxy and made their way to Batu. So, not necessarily staying within theme. Because, like, right now, you
Yeah.
kind of pick a theme, Because have you done it before, Sean?
This lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have it right here. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
there it
the
is. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's very what an experience, man. It's the coolest thing. Have you done it?
I have, well, I haven't personally done it, but I've like been in there multiple times when people have done it. Like
Yeah.
I've been the guest, so I got to experience what it's like and see it. But it's cool. I don't really. I'm guessing like this will just be like you can kind of make your own, and you don't have to stick to like a theme. Is that kind of what you're
Hmm.
getting from that?
Yeah, because I know like when you go in, when you set it up, a friend of mine got it for me for my 50th birthday. So that was like the here, we're gonna go do this. And this is like the kind of stuff I don't spend money on myself. I have a
Right.
droid too, which I'm like, I'm not gonna buy that, but I bought it anyway because I got promoted at my job. I'm like, heck yes. So but I have a black and red R2D2, which is I call him R2DP2 because for Deadpool, 'cause I'm a huge Deadpool fan. But this you go in there, they ask you have like your five different choices, strength and whatever. I think this one is the it's red even, so you got to go with the red. But they give you all the pieces already all laid out. They just give you your tray, so it would be cool if they just throw out a tray and just like pick through what you want, just make this weird conglomeration of whatever you think. That's a cool idea to because that will look cool on this, but you can't get that because it's not part of this. So let's put it together and make it. I think it's a great idea for people that have a little more not that it's not creative as well, but people like, well, I want to have that part on the top and that on the bottom, and my hilt needs to look like this, but I like that kind of color frame. I think it's a cool
Exactly.
idea. I think it's a
I
cool idea
agree.
to you can totally just do whatever you want, and it's 100% what you did, not what anyone. It's going to come from your mind, only be what you thought of, because no one else is really going to have what you did. So how cool
Exactly.
is that? You know?
I agree. I agree. It's like a totally unique thing, and there is a little bit of variation within each theme, obviously. But this is like Sean was saying, a little bit more unique. You can have something that's totally different to just you. So I'm curious to see what it looks like when someone does it for the first time.
Yeah.
And then lastly, just to kind of end the topic here on Star Wars Season of the Force, Disney shared a little bit about food, special food, because that is a
Oh,
celebration at the
food looks
parks.
crazy good.
Yeah, so a lot of the food, for the most part, is repeat. It looks like to me anyway. I
Hmm.
can't tell if the fried chicken bows are exactly the same as they were before. I think they are because it looks pretty similar to what we had last year. That was a new item last year.
Hmm.
But the only thing that looks new to me, at least from first viewing, is the Pico Punch, which is actually coming to Tomorrowland Terrace,
Oh, okay.
or the Galactic Grill. I keep calling it Tomorrowland
That's
Terrace,
that
but
blue one, the bluish
hmm
looking one.
yeah,
That
it's
looks really
pineapple
good.
juice, coconut milk,
Oh,
lime juice garnished with pineapple chunks and a lotus root.
let's
For
go.
those of you that have done shabu.
Let's go, man. That sounds good.
uh, but it looks pretty good, and obviously, since they're using coconut milk, it's non-dairy, so this can appeal to a larger audience, which I appreciate that. So I'll
And
be
the
looking
Wookiee
forward
cookie.
to
Don't forget the Wookiee cookie.
the Woogie cookie. Yeah, not a new item, but it's still a fan favorite. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see all this stuff return. I love the Tordaria swirl, which they're showing here. That's the green milk mixed with like the chamoy, the chili lime seasoning, and mango jellies. So it's
Micah,
really,
how
really good.
spicy is that? Because I'm not a spicy person.
It's very spicy.
I'm out. I'm out.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. So if you guys want
Looks
to look
cool.
at if you want to look at any of this stuff, I'll link the article in the podcast show notes and also in the description of the YouTube video if you're watching, so that you guys can check it out on your own as you're watching along. But next up, I wanted to talk about something that's kind of a little bit of a departure from what we normally talk about, but Disney Parks blog shared it. And so I felt like it was relevant because it's definitely a crossover that a lot of people are fans of, and that's Bath and Body Works. So
Oh yeah.
Disney actually announced that Bath and Body Works is collabing. They're collabing together, and they're making a whole new line of Disney princess inspired scents and items, right? Accessories,
Hmm.
candles, 3 wick candles, soaps, all that kind of stuff. I love Bath and Body Works soaps. Like I'm a foam soap person, so I always love their like Christmas scents and like the summer stuff and like the fall things. So that's kind of always what I do. So when I saw that Disney Parks blog had posted stuff about
Right.
Bath and Body Works, I was intrigued. But essentially, they're going to be featuring collections for a few different princesses. So they have Ariel, Belle, Cinderella, Jasmine, Moana, and Tiana. And so far, just looking at scent descriptions, I don't know if you've had a chance to read any of them, Shawn, but the ones that stand out to me are Ariel. It kind of reminds me of like what we get from. If you guys have ever stayed at a Disney resort before and had the H2O collection stuff, which people have been obsessed
Hmm.
with, I
Hmm.
think there's a collection that's scented called. Oh, sorry, give me that. There's a collection that's called Sea Salt from H2O, and the Sea Salt collection sounds a lot like Ariel. So I feel like they're going to smell really similar. Other than Ariel, the other ones that stood out to me was Moana and Tiana, just based on the
Yeah.
notes. But what about you?
It's funny. I have a friend. I was asked her this morning. I said, "Hey, so you a big bath body person?" She goes, "Oh my god!" She goes, "I was up at 3 a.m. this morning, and she sent me like the list of like all the stuff she ordered. There's like 3 pages. That's like Ariel, Tiana, Moana. I'm like, you got everything on the damn thing. I think I think it's a brilliant marketing thing for Disney with Bed Bath and Beyond. Man, they're huge. So I mean, two huge things coming together makes all the sense in the world. And who doesn't want to smell like Ariel or Belle or whatever? You know what I mean? So I think it's a great idea, and it's
Yeah,
I agree
it's
with
gonna
you. I
do.
think the oh, go
I
ahead.
was gonna say it's gonna do gangbusters for them for sure.
Oh, 100%. And like you said, the descriptions, I mean, Jasmine says a Jasmine collection embodies how she defines her own path and stands up for rights, including notes of sparkling jasmine flower, jeweled currants, and soft woods. That just sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
It's, obviously Belle is roses, which totally makes sense. But I,
Hmm.
this will be huge. I think this will be huge for them. And
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too that's been making a really big kind of like draw on Bath and Body Works specifically is their accessories, right? And their
Mm-hmm.
accessories are so themed. Like they recently had like a Bridgerton collection, and that kind of went crazy with the accessories that they
Right.
had. And so the accessories all being princess themed, like the wallflowers. They had like a Moana Wayfinder boat one, and like,
Yeah, it's
you know, just
brilliant.
the Tiana has like her lotus flower. They're just all gonna just sell out, and I'm sure. So at the time of the recording of this podcast, and at the time of when you're actually listening to it, I think it's still going to be within the period where like you can pre-order it if you're a loyalty member with Bath and Body
Mm-hmm.
Works, and then after February 12th, it'll be available online and in store for everyone. But I felt like it was worth mentioning because Disney Parks blog shared it, and it's a huge crossover for a lot of fans because
100%.
typically they love both.
And they're not available yet, right? You just order. There's an order phase right now, right?
Yeah, they're available on the website for people that like are part of their program where like you get rewards and stuff. So you can
I mean,
log
it's
in
neat
and
that this is a great Valentine's gift. I don't know if you can get it before then, but I
yeah,
doubt it. But
there
but
you go.
dang, smell like
You might have to
Ariel,
wait in
smell like
line.
Belle. Right, absolutely. So do you think
hmm
you see Bed Bath? You think Bath and Body Works stuff in the parks eventually?
Um, I was saying like I was thinking that actually that I'm glad that you said that. Like I thought maybe there's like two possible locations. Like I thought maybe Storyland Boutique, maybe
Mm-hmm.
they like because it does they that store is doing drops and stuff, so maybe they carry a few items there, or
Right,
maybe like a section in World of Disney because like Starbucks lets them sell their merchandise
right.
in the World of Disney store. So I thought maybe we'd see Bath and Body Works stuff in there. That's just because of this collab. I'm like because to your point, like why is Disney Parks blog sharing it? You know what I mean? So like there's maybe some sort of tie-in. We'll have to see, but they didn't mention it. They didn't mention it in the
Right.
article.
It's
So
cool. That's I mean, good for them. Good for both companies actually. It's smart on both ends. I
yeah.
think yeah.
And then to wrap this up, I wanted to move on to our next topic. Is and back to Disney parks.
Oh,
We had a post from Scott Gustin, my good friend. He mentioned that Disney shared more recently photos of a brand new window display on Main Street celebrating Disney legend Martha Blanding as part of Black History Month and Women's History Month.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if this is like a permanent display that's going to always be there. I thought that was super cool that they did a window display rather
Absolutely.
than like a window because they've been doing like the windows, right, on Main Street. But like this one's a little bit more themed, right? So it has a picture of Martha in like the style of, you know, the Victorian era of Main Street
Mm-hmm.
on the wall. It has a little pillow on the desk in the window display that's the tour guide plaid because
Oh yeah.
she was the first Black Disneyland tour guide. And it also has a copy of her book in the theme of that era sitting on the desk, which is called Groundbreaking Magic. And you can
Oh
buy
yeah.
that
There
book
it is.
today and and read it. So I actually retweeted a copy of that and said everyone should read that book because it's a lot. She has a good story, right, and a lot to
Mm-hmm.
tell. She was more recently at this last D23 awarded the Disney Legend Award alongside Miley Cyrus and a bunch of other people because she has, like I mentioned, she was the first ever Black female tour guide full time at the Disneyland Resort. And then she also was the first Black female management at Disneyland. So
Mm-hmm.
she's a big part of history there. And she worked
Absolutely.
for Disney for over 50 years. So she's basically been there her entire life for the most part. Which is really, really cool. And it's awesome that she's being honored in this way.
Well deserved.
And
100%.
yeah, she's a super nice lady. I remember encountering her a couple times. So well deserved, and she's very gracious and humble. So I think it's awesome.
Absolutely. Have you ever done
Um,
a VIP tour?
I have not. No,
No.
I've like kind of joined a friend that was on one for like an hour or so. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't ride any rides. It was kind of like just with them, but I didn't like stay around and like be a part of
Right.
it.
It's one of the best experiences that they have to offer there. I've done it. I did it like 5 or 6 years ago, and that's like probably 8 years ago now. But so much fun. I mean, it's the way. And I was the one that was in a communication with Disneyland. Like, well, what do you want to do? And like, well, kids want to do the bippity boppity, whatever. No, the kids want to see the princesses. So literally, they walked us. We had like I think 14 people in our group, so we had two tour guides. and they just one in the back and one in the front walked us through that park for like 6 hours. It was, who's that? Who's that? People like, oh, it's nobody. It's you know what I mean. But it was the best experience, and the way that they set it up for you, the things they do. Make one of my daughter's phone was starting to lose a charge, and they like, hey, we need a charger at Jungle Cruise, and like literally all of a sudden, someone shows up out of nowhere with a charger to charge my daughter's phone. It got warm. They came and took all of our jackets. It was it was an amazing experience. And if you can ever do
Yeah,
it, it's
they can.
it's so expensive, but if you split it up, it's cheap.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
If you maximize the tour
Oh
size
yeah.
as far as the people there and then split it up amongst all the people, it's not that bad when you look at it that way.
No, not really. When you're spending $400 for one person to go on all the rides, and I think it cost us about $500 a person on the average, but still, to do what you did. And even the next day we saw one of the tour guys. He's like, oh my God, did you guys make it on? Did you guys, because you were trying to get over to Cars, and we didn't make it because we ran out of time. And we're like, no, we didn't make it. He's like, well, here. And he gave us like fast passes the next day. It was just a great experience. So we got to sit up front for the parades and sit at the top of the, up there for by the train station up on top, up in the
Mm-hmm.
best thing. Sorry. Didn't mean to.
No,
I squirrel a lot. You know that. So you got to deal with that. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, honestly, it's something that's on my list of things to do. Like, I want to do it, especially during like the holiday season when you can, like you said, use that parade experience for like the Christmas Fantasy Parade or maybe the Halloween fireworks show, stuff like that. So it's on my list. It's on my list for
we
sure.
We did Sound Stational during the day. They put us like right down by the castle, like right in front of the castle.
Yeah, and then around the hub, right?
Yep. And then at night they put us up above, like I said, by the train station for the fireworks. So we were like front row, looking right down Main Street, but best view in the park. But yeah, we've talked about doing it on our show. We're like, we all need to just do that one day. We're like, okay, yeah, let's do that. Sure. I mean, it's so worth it. I would recommend it to anyone for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. If you can do it, definitely try it out.
And Martha Blandon's definitely well deserved for her.
Yes, 100%, 100%. And I'm glad that I don't know if they because they said window display, see it. I don't know. The wording kind of made me think maybe it was. They said in celebration of Women's History Month and Black History Month.
Probably be this month, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's like a permanent thing or not, because I know window displays on Main Street kind of change a lot, but it'd be cool if she got something more permanent. A lot of Disney legends do, on Main Street, especially ones that come from Disney parks and Disneyland. So maybe that's something in her future, but at least for now, it's a really cool little nod that people, can know to look for. They didn't say exactly what window on Main Street, but all you have to do is just look for kind of like a desk setup. And then on the chair, there's a little plaid pillow, and I'll put a link to it as well too, in the chat or in the description and the
You'll
podcast
be there soon.
notes.
You'll be able to share it with everyone.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. We'll call it out for sure. But moving on, I wanted to talk about our next topic, which was the red car trolley had its final day. We talked about it on the last podcast. We talked about it in my more recent video. If you saw my video on the YouTube channel, I actually got to do my last ride with Mondo. We went the day before it closed, but I had sent a video, and I'll link it in the notes as well, from Wonders of Magic, who was there on the final night. Mickey and Minnie, in their Buena Vista Street best, rode the tram or trolley one last time down its route to the Hyperion Theater, and then exited to like a large cheer of people that were there, all trying to see the trolley go one last time. I love it when
stuff like that ends, like the electrical parade ends. Everyone follows it to the end till the gate closes. And like when you guys did Splash Mountain, you all were there when they closed the doors on Splash Mountain. I'm like, that's just it's sad, but I mean, it's cool. But
yeah, no, it is. It's the end of an era, like I was talking about with Mondo a little bit. DCA 2.0. The red car trolley was a big deal, right? It was a huge part in the theming. When John Lasseter was at the helm at the time, he was very specific about having the trolley and about having it the way it was, right? It has the cable system that goes all throughout the park that the trolley runs. And this very much replicates what the trolleys looked like in Los Angeles in the early 20s, 30s, 40s, etc. And the cables at the time provided the electricity for the trolley, but On these trolleys, they're purely decorative. They're not
Yep.
necessary. The trolleys are run on lithium ion batteries that wirelessly charge as they're parked in the station. And they don't need the cables at all. But John Lasseter was very specific about making sure they were included for authenticity purposes, even though it meant an extra step for the cast members because they have to get out of the trolley, pull the tether down, and switch directions when the trolley has to go back the other way. So it's not exactly an unforgiving thing, but something they
Right.
do to maintain the show. And it
Detail
brought a
for
lot of
sure. Attention
authenticity
to detail.
to like Buena Vista Street. Yeah, but once we lost the Tower of Terror, and it was no longer the final stop for the trolley, and we got Avengers Campus, and then the trolley track continued through Avengers Campus. It was just kind of weird, like what is this for? And DCA started losing a lot of its California theming with the area. I don't even remember what it was called anymore. Now that I think it was called the Pacific Wharf, was turned into San Francisco Square.
Yeah, it was Pacific Wharf. Yeah.
Yeah, Pacific Wharf, San Francisco Square. The Golden Gate Bridge was taken away, but they did change it to like a more Los Angeles centric theme. We've of course lost like parts of Golden Vine Winery and Bugs Land to Avengers Campus. So a lot of the Pixar Pier came in, took over like the old boardwalk theme of kind of like maybe Santa Monica Pier, stuff like that.
Right.
So it definitely has been losing a lot of its California theme.
Pulling away from California hard.
Yeah. So the trolley going away makes sense for the way the park's headed. This, DCA, I feel like, has had an identity crisis. It's been through so many iterations of what it's supposed to be, but I feel like that's the same for, Hollywood Studios Park in Walt Disney World, and then the Disney Studios Park in Paris. I feel like they're all kind of in that same era that, are getting reworked to better, fit the vision of like what Disney's moving forward towards the future. So
do you think you ever see I'm going to squirrel again. Do you think you ever see a name change for DCA?
We were talking about that. I think so. Because it's gotta. I feel like the moniker DCA is so well ingrained into local,
it's an easy
name
fix, Disney
nomenclature. Yeah, they can just. So as long as I feel like as it keeps the same moniker but changes the name, I think it could work.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know the reasoning to keep the California in the name unless they just do it for, branding, because it's like been that way for a while. But I don't know.
They might also because of the fact that it's celebrating Walt coming to California, and like when you first walk in, that's what you're supposed to be experiencing. Is Walt statues right there, and then that walk down, Buena Vista Street is still that's the kind of the idea, but
yeah. No, I understand. Like that could be. It could be, but yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and or watching it and you haven't ridden the red car trolley, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say you won't be able to ride it ever. But good news is
next to it. Right?
Yeah, it'll still be parked on Buena Vista Street as like a at least semi-permanent for who knows how long fixture for you to be able to take photos in front of it. But it will no longer be operational. So you can still go get your pictures.
You think the cables stay up and the tracks, or you think that all goes away eventually?
Because they made such a big deal to include them for theming. I was saying to Mondo, I feel like they're going to stay just because of they weren't necessary to run the trolley to begin with.
Right.
But they were strictly for theming, so why wouldn't they stay for theming? But for those that are listening, the cables do affect what kind of parades can come to DCA because of how low they are. So the parade floats can only get to a certain height. So that's certainly something to think about as well too. And then I also thought beyond, Shawn, I was thinking, since the trolley's roundhouse doesn't exist anymore behind Avengers Campus, which is why this is all happening, which we forgot to mention. The trolley is closing because they're building a huge expansion for Avengers Campus, including 2 new attractions. And they're currently going to be occupying the space where the trolley used to park, and it's building the roundhouse for the trolley at the end of the night. But my thought was, Shawn, since the trolley doesn't exist and the theming of the trolley track in Avengers Campus and near Guardians of the Galaxy does not make sense at all.
I agree.
Um, I thought maybe we could see the track ripped out there and the ground just leveled out normal, and then maybe the track kind of just ending in one of like on Hollywood, like right by Hyperion or
By the
whatever.
Hyperion, yeah.
Yeah,
That makes
as like
sense.
part of the theming, it stays like there just because it's like the trolley tracks, but and there will be a trolley parked on it. So like, you would think it would go down this track thematically.
Right.
But like I could see them removing the track in Avengers Campus. Would that make
I agree with you
sense?
completely. Because
Yeah.
because you talk about theming, that is the weird part of the theming when you're looking up at the tower there and you're like, oh, there's some tracks and they've done a good job with it. I think, didn't they put some like footprints? No, the footprints aren't around the tracks. The footprints go over more in the thing, but I agree with you. I think the tracks will just like you said, disappear around Hyperion, and then for the huge upgrade of Avengers Campus, which is going to
Yes.
be
Yeah.
great.
I think
Can't
so. I
wait.
think so.
Can't
And then lastly, for our news segment, before we head into our Main Street topic, I wanted to talk about just some updates on ride refurbishments, ride closures, right? I always like to mention that for people that are like to plan their trips. The dates are always changing. We talked about Tower of Terror last time, and its date range has now changed. So let's start off with DCA this time. So Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout still closing on March the 10th. But now, instead of the 16th, I think, which I mentioned, it's coming back up on the 20th. So the 20th for its return back to operation. Grizzly River Run is currently closed now, and some of the construction that we're seeing there is pretty extensive. So they're doing a pretty big refurb on this. It's going to be reopening in about a month's time
It's pretty
on
normal though,
March
right?
13th. Yeah, pretty normal.
Yeah.
It seems like each time they focus on a different area. Like last time, the area where the geysers are
Mm-hmm.
seemed to be like a really big focus for them when it came to like what they were refurbing. And this time it's that area that like you first encounter before you go up the lift hill. Like there's a lot of work going on there on the rock work and stuff. So I don't know. Like there's probably a reasoning for like maybe resealing all the concrete and all that kind of stuff. Who knows? But
It probably goes through hell though. Running constantly with water on it, and you need to
mm-hmm.
have that time to take it down
And chlorinated
and
water on top of
yeah, for
that.
sure.
So, and then on top of that, we have a new attraction going down that I don't think I mentioned before, which is Indiana Jones over at
Shocking.
Disneyland Park. That's closing on March 17th. And right now it's a TBD because
Oh,
the we don't know when it's coming back just because the calendar only goes out so far, so we can't tell.
right.
We do have a reopening date for the Disneyland Monorail and Disneyland Railroad, which we talked about, but I'll reiterate that again. It's March the 6th. So they're both currently closed and reopening pretty soon as
That
well
was
here
quick.
too.
That was quicker than everyone was anticipating.
Yeah, they just said spring, and
Yeah.
so we didn't really know. And I thought, well, this is a track replacement in large segments.
Right.
We could see this closed all the way up until maybe the 70th. Like I
That's
didn't
what I
really
thought.
know.
Originally, it was going to be up till the 70th, and then they'd have it all ready to go for then.
Yeah, so it'll be nice. It'll be nice to have it back, especially the monorail. A lot of hotel guests rely on that. So people who are booking their stays, and more importantly, the front desk staff who have to deal with complaints about it being down, won't have to deal with that for much longer.
Right.
And then the Jolly Holiday Bakery, we still don't have an opening date for that. So they are currently reworking the inside of it a little bit better for mobile order and stuff like that. And then same with Pixie Hollow, no opening date for that as well too for meet and greet. It's still
Like the
closed.
longest closure ever.
I know they are working on it though. Like it's interesting to see, but they are working on it.
That and the treehouse, they just take forever.
Took forever, yeah. It's a Small World at Disneyland is still closed again. We mentioned that when it went down for its refurbishment to remove the holiday overlay, it was also going to be an extended regular refurb. So this one's also TBD as well too. And then the last one I was going to mention was Great Moments of Mr. Lincoln. This is supposed to reopen on the opening day of the 70th,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I'm hearing rumors now that there could be delays here in the
Really?
Walt animatronic and that it may not be ready. Because if you think about it, the 70th kickoff, this attraction is very important to that. However, like they would technically have until the birthday, which is
In
July
July.
17th,
Yep.
which would, make more sense to have a Walt Disney animatronic than,
I agree.
debuting. So if they had to delay, I could see it maybe getting pushed to like the actual birthday. So that could be a possibility. But I'm
That's
hearing
actually
rumors.
that totally make. Could you imagine how long the lines are going to be for that?
It's going to be long.
Oh
It's going to be
man,
long.
do they
But
queue it
that
out of Main Street, or they queue it down Main Street, or do they queue it like out into the
that's what I
to
was
the
telling Mondo. I
Esplanade?
didn't
Or
really know. I was like, is it a queue situation, or are we dealing with a virtual queue
virtual queue?
situation
That might
where
be.
you
It
come
might
back?
have to be that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, I can't wait for that. I
And
have
then
questions about it, but
yeah, yeah. And that wraps up our news segment. So I wanted to head into our Main Street topic, kind of going back a little bit to what we were talking about around the red car trolley. So Avengers Campus, right? There's getting a brand new expansion, and
Mhm.
construction now is starting on that. Now that the trolley's closed, um, they are putting in a brand new attraction and a marquee attraction called the Avengers. What is it? Now I'm forgetting what the name of the main Infinity Defense, and then the Stark Flight Lab, which is
Right.
kind of like a robotic arm simulator kind of ride, um, without a screen. It's just like you're kind of dealing with like imagine a jetpack kind of going out of
Right.
control. That's what this would be. So
I'd probably do that
um,
ride once because I don't like to spin around. So I'd try it once just to say I did it and probably be sick the rest of the day. But hey, you know.
yeah. So that's how I feel about the Avengers ride, because I'm sure it's going to be a vomit rocket, is what I call it.
Right.
So,
Right. Like
but
Star Tours. Oof.
we also saw too Doctor Strange show more recently close as
Mm-hmm.
well, and kind of go dark. We saw a lot of the shows on the main building go dark as well too, and we kind of wonder like, are these changes specific to the construction will be pushing out and getting a little bit close to where guests would normally crowd up and line up for the Doctor Strange show.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it makes sense that they're not doing it now, but we're also hearing rumors too of the Doctor Strange show area just really not being maybe as successful as they had wanted it to be, maybe not worth spending the money on the actors and the show and all that kind of stuff
That's
there,
unfortunate.
and then using that space for more dining space, because that is one
Oh,
thing that's lacking. And when we
yeah.
think about how they've had to adapt, the way they've adapted more recently is they do have a few tables kind of sitting in between the shawarma palace and the web suppliers gift shop. There's like maybe
Mm-hmm.
7 or so tables there, but they also use the courtyard for the Hyperion Theater, across the way from Guardians of the Galaxy, for additional dining. But that goes into saying, Sean, that the Hyperion Theater, its future is questionable,
Right.
right? Does Avengers Campus grow beyond that, or does whatever's coming to California Adventure, aka the Coco ride, aka the Avatar Land
Right.
expansion, do these expansions take away the Hyperion Theater, because we don't have a show there currently? There's no plans for a new show, at least that we know of. And so they can't rely on that space for dining space all
Sure.
moving forward. So it would make sense to remove the Doctor Strange area to add more dining space, because that might be a better move for them logistically than having a show. But what are your thoughts on all that?
The Hyperion is just it's sad. It's a cool theater. It's a waste of space. So it's totally unfortunate that there's not something. I mean, if you're gonna do something, at least put Rogers the musical back in there so people have something to. I loved the Frozen show that they had there. An hour to sit there in that beautiful air conditioned building, and it was great. But it's unfortunate because it's a nice theater. And then, like you said, you walk down Buena Vista at the end from the Hyperion all the way to Avengers Campus. It could all be dead space. I mean, it's like you said, for some of the stuff there's seating and stuff like that for eating, but um the Doctor Strange show, I thought Doctor Strange show was cool. I liked it. I'm a Doctor Strange fan. I don't know if it needed that much space for a show like that. What do you put in there? I think putting seating right there is kind of a waste. You could probably think of some other small attraction or some other kind of meet and greets. I'm a huge Wanda fan. Bring back Wanda. Wanda and Deadpool could hang out there together. It'd be the greatest thing ever. But
Yeah.
the show, the show was cool. It was fun. But like you said, it kind of it's kind of like a jam right in the middle of the thing because everyone was queuing up or they're standing back and they want to see the show. So I guess table dining makes sense, but there's not a lot of dining in Avengers Campus, right? It's just Pim's and the Shawarma Palace, right? Unless they add
Yeah.
more dining as well too, which they
Well, it
could.
just seems like the PIM test kitchen and more importantly the PIM tasting lab um, have just really become more and more popular. They were already popular
Hmm.
when they first opened, but even the tasting lab, which is the bar segment
Right.
of PIM test kitchen, is doing just so well recently. There's really long queues and there's just no space to sit there. And now that they have to share it as well with the PIM test kitchen, there really isn't space when it comes to maybe a limited food item that's driving a lot of people to that location, or when it's just a high traffic time like a lunch or a dinner. Those spaces just don't have a lot of room, and
You are
so
correct, I will say, because I remember I was there with my family a couple of years ago, and we actually had to sit up against the fence right there outside the PIM where Thor and everyone walks out, those big gates, right? We had to sit there, and they had actually made us move because they were bringing out some people. But yeah, you're right. It is okay. I might take it back a little bit. You could maybe use a little more seating, but
I,
okay.
I was thinking to your point though. I think the rumor that we had been hearing was just like turning it into a dining space, but I think there's enough room there to kind of utilize both, right?
Right.
To section off some of it as additional dining, right? Everything to the right side, closer to the web supplier store where there's already a bunch of tables set up for Shawarma
Hmm.
Palace. They can make that a dining space and get rid of that like Instagram photo op and that weird kind of like cube that's sitting there.
The cube
Um,
looks cool at night, though. I mean, the
it
cube looks really
does,
cool at
but it
night. It's
has no
unfortunate
purpose.
that you're right. It has no purpose at all except
It
looking
doesn't
really
even
cool.
interact with magic bands, which I feel like is a missed opportunity.
Right, how cool would that be? Like running around it, like with your magic band, and it's like lighting up and falling. Yeah,
Yeah.
looks
But
cool
to
at
your
night though.
point, though,
That's
I was
about
going to
it.
say the left side of it, I could definitely see be turned into maybe like a small mini stage
Hmm.
that could have multiple uses, right? It's used as a meet and greet point for characters like Wanda
Yep.
and other characters that can walk around Avengers Campus. It also can be utilized for small little entertainment pop-ups like they had with Deadpool and
Right.
Wolverine. So like things like that as they continue to happen for special characters that they have when new Marvel movies release and stuff like that. And then, when we think about After Dark events like Oogie Boogie Bash, it could be a treat trail spot as well,
100%.
kind of like how the Sanctum is now. So I feel like it could definitely be double utilized because a
What
lot
does
of it
that
just
back
sits
up to?
empty. It backs up to
The cozy cone? Is the
the
cozy cone
the
behind it?
backstage behind the cozy cones. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
hmm There's a little small backstage space
There's
back
not enough.
there.
There's not enough space for an attraction there, is there?
No, because there's also like so Disneyland's main cast cafeteria is located like behind Main Street, connected to like the Plaza Inn,
Hmm.
and then the main cast cafeteria for DCA is located in Cars Land.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it
That's
was
fair.
a backstage area, but Cars Land kind of had to bring it on stage
Mm.
just for how they were doing it. So when you're passing Luigi, or not Luigi's, but when you're passing Mater's Junkyard Jamboree, and then there's that random barn on the left that has like movie posters on it,
Uh huh.
that's the cast cafeteria.
Huh. Okay.
And it used to be completely backstage, but it had to move semi on stage for when they made it. So that kind of the where cast members enter that cast cafeteria, it sort of connects with the backstage space of like the cozy cones and like behind the sanctum there. So it's
Gotcha.
like
Okay.
kind of all
Okay. All
connected.
right.
So not too much room back there.
Gotcha.
And then in addition to that, of course, with the two new rides coming, um, in your opinion, do you feel like with a definite Infinity Defense and then the Stark Flight Lab, do you feel like Avengers Campus could really like see a point where people are spending a majority of their time there, like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, or do you think it's like maybe not as successful and kind of like a web suppliers or web slingers where like it's successful for a bit and then it becomes like a consistently popular ride, but not maybe something as a draw as like Star Wars Rise of the Resistance.
I think because it's Marvel and there's a huge there's Marvel fans all over everywhere. I think it's gonna when they get these two other tracks. So if you think about that, they're gonna have Guardians, you'll have Web Slingers, and these two attractions. how many lands in any of the parks have that many attractions? And it's a small area too. So I think it will be a place for people to go and be there more than just walk through. What is Lewis on our show calls it something like the concrete something, like you just walk through, it's like all just concrete. I forgot, he makes fun of it all the time, but I think the Avengers Campus is cool. I like the idea of it. I love the way it looks. I think those two attractions, maybe not the one where you spin all over the place, will be great. We'll bring in a lot of people, and if looks like it's going to be like something that's going to be able to absorb some of the people, because they look like the Infinity Defense looks like it's going to have pretty big ride vehicles, people eaters like we call them, to get a lot of people in there and go. So I think it will become a destination for everyone. I think like it was when it first opened, when it in July a couple of years ago, right after was it after COVID, right? Is when it opened.
Yeah, I think it was like 2021.
Yeah, and it was. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool place. It looks cool. Like I said, it looks great at night. I mean, all the effects at night. You walk in off of the other side by the falls over there with the street lit up, like with the blue. Avengers Campus is cool. And we're all Marvel fans. We're all like that kind of stuff. And who doesn't want to see all their favorite characters walking around?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I also too think it's going to be a huge draw for a lot of people. This attraction, the rumors are that it's kind of similar to the Peter Pan Neverland Adventure attraction from Tokyo Disney, which is wildly popular there. It is, not good for people who are prone to motion sickness, but maybe we can hope and pray that ours is not going to be 3D and they'll just drop the 3D because that would help a lot.
3D is the worst, man. I can't do anything 3D.
Yeah, it would help a lot if it wasn't 3D, yeah. I feel, but yeah, I'm excited for both. And we should, at the time of this recording, already have construction underway, right? They're starting to break ground and move some of the dirt away and tear down the roundhouse for the old trolley. So it's going to move quickly. They, Josh Tomorrow's talking about, all these experiences being turbocharged. He mentioned that at D23. So we're expecting them to move at a faster pace. It's still going to take a while, right? These are huge, massive attractions that are coming in, and it's changing the landscape of the land. More importantly, what Mondo and I were saying is we feel like it's really going to affect the entrance to the land. Like there's a huge backstage access gate right there, off to the side. So we feel like they're going to close off that part of Avengers Campus, like to get into Cars Land. It seems like that would be what they do. We'll have to see, but I feel like that'll be the norm for a while. It's like just that cutoff point won't return.
That walkway through there.
Yeah, it's just like it's going to be one of the things where like it just doesn't return until the ride opens. I feel like that's how it's going to be.
Yeah,
because it's really close.
That gets you where you got to go. That through the Ouija's there, so it's going to be that'd be unfortunate, but everything's understandable. I mean, they closed over by Haunted Mansion. They literally closed off the park. You couldn't go into the Galaxy's Edge that way for a while. So just wait, folks. It all comes back. It's going to be even better. So,
Yeah, it all comes back.
It's all done for a reason.
Yep. But that about wraps up this episode of the 5571 podcast. I want to thank you again, Shawn, for joining me. And I'll be happy to join, of course, some more podcasts over on their network. So if you want to, I think Walt's Apartment is on like YouTube, and they're also on like all the podcast networks and everything. So you can search all those. You'll see all the different episodes on their YouTube channel for all the different shows. They're kind of all conglomerated there.
I'll see you in 2 weeks for breakfast, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Finally.
He'll be at the parks finally. Yes. But thanks everyone for listening. If you haven't already, and you're watching too, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel so that you can get the latest update videos and vlogs as well. And if you're listening, make sure you're subscribed on whatever platform you're listening to so that you can get updated when new episodes come out. But thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.